Hey everybody, it's Valen from Mischief of Mice, here with another Bit by Bit on Botania. Today, we're going to do the Ritual of Gaia. To start off with, you will have to have access to the Portal of Alfheim, because you will need some materials from that in order to create the Ritual of Gaia. Now with your Lexica Botania, I do recommend that you use this, and just for simplicity's sake, I can find it through the index, typing in the word Gaia and clicking on that. We're not going to go for the second set yet because that's going to be a little bit beyond us until we can actually complete the first one and get some Gaia spirits. Now you can read through that, but I would recommend that you make yourself 4 Gaia pylons, which is made with pixie dust, elementium ingots around a mana pylon, 1-to-1 ratio, so that'll be a little bit expensive there. And you'll need at least iron. You can actually use other items, but iron blocks is usually the most common. And you're going to want to make yourself a beacon, which is going to require another star, which means you will have to have killed the Wither in order to get to this point. I do recommend that you use the visualize option, and then you can actually place this in the world. Let's see right there. And then you can actually make it. Now this one here is actually so that it is flush to the ground. I would have to dig it out and put the iron blocks down and so on. But you see how these are actually 1 block above, so I would have to place a grass block and then place the pylon. Now I already have set these up, so I am not going to be going with that. But I actually placed mine in the ground, and I have a specific way that I tend to vary how I actually do it. But I have placed it underground by 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks is where the iron ingots or the blocks of iron start, and then the beacon. And the reason for that is just so that I can get a smooth surface. I then covered the top with mana glass, and I actually filled in all except for a couple blocks here of abstruse platforms with some mana glass to make it clear. And because you're going to need to be able to right-click onto this beacon here, or shift right-click rather, a terrasteel ingot. Now I also have abstruse platforms here that I'm jumping up and down on right now that are disguised with mana glass, making them look clear so that I can actually step up and down in there. But I was just doing that so that you guys can see. I also have the pylons at each of the corners as I was supposed to have, so therefore making things very simple. Now I am going to actually show you one very simple way. In fact, I'm going to use relatively mundane items in order to complete this. But essentially, we're going to be making a Fallen Canade, Bellthorn, and, where is it? There it is, a Giulia. So, in order to make those, you're going to need a few ingredients and a Petal Apothecary with a bucket of water, or at least a few buckets of water. Now in here, you'll only need to make 1 Fallen Canade, and that requires a Rune of Spring, 2 mystical yellow petals, 2 mystical white petals, and a mystical orange petal followed by seeds, as I will do here. And I get myself a Fallen Canade. Next, we'll need to make ourselves only 1 Giulia, and that's a Rune of Water, Rune of the Air, mystical pink petal times 2, mystical purple petal, and a mystical light gray petal, followed by seeds. Gets you a Giulia. Oops, and I do that every time. Dagnabbit. And last but not least, the Bellthorn. Now this is not required. Actually, none of these are really required. I guess the Fallen Canade is probably the safest bet you could have for this. But the Giulia and the Bellthorn are both, I mean, all the flowers really aren't that difficult to make. But I do recommend you make yourself about, I would say, 8 of the Bellthorns. So that's 3 mystical red petals, 1, 2, 3, 2 mystical cyan petals, and 1 redstone root, followed by a seed. And that gets you a Bellthorn. I don't need these anymore, so I'm actually going to eliminate those. But I ended up placing 3 mana pools around. Now I put it one at one edge, another at another edge, and the last one over here. As you can see, I've got a mana tablet already sitting in there. I have nothing at this end because I really don't have any interest of going after anything over at this end of the field. Essentially, I'm going to go up into the air here so you can see. I've made kind of a checkerboard area with this little square, or well, not really a square, somewhat of a rectangle, and that's for more reference of Gaia Guardian 2.0, but we're not going to be worried about that. This here represents where I should probably be standing most of the time when I fight the original Gaia Guardian. Now I have a creative mana tablet. I'll be switching that out for a regular one as we go, but I do recommend that you at least fill your mana pool probably a little bit more than a quarter if possible on either side for the Bellthorns. And I've got them about, oh, I don't know, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 blocks away. And I'm wearing a mana monocle right now so that I can actually see the area that they cover. And if you look, you can see it covers almost half the field right now. And that is actually so that when the Gaia Guardian reaches his second mode, you can actually not have to extend any effort whatsoever in fighting off his minions. And I have them on either side. Now to prevent him from dropping them directly on your head, that's where the Giulia comes in. The Giulia will actually end up repelling any enemies in an area. And you can see it's quite an area. Let me actually spawn one in so you can see. I will grab a spider here, and we will drop one right on top. And you can see it actually kind of shoots him up in the air and repels him. So even if monsters are dropped right on top of you, they are not going to be able to get to you. And if they're actually slightly off the side, then they will slowly slide down off the edge of this dome until finally they get into this area where these Bellthorns will actually end up injuring any creatures in the area that they cover. And if you only have one Bellthorn, it will only hurt 1 to 2 enemies at a time. This is why I recommend you have about 8 of them. Specifically 4 on either side, so that if the Gaia Guardian starts dropping enemies here, that it will be able to handle the quantity that he is dropping at that time. Allow me to change it back to daytime here. And then we have the most important part, the Fallen Canade. You place this here and you can see I have a regen effect going on. Now you can't really see the area that it's covering. Let me grab another Fallen Canade and drop it right on top. And you can see it actually goes out about 2 blocks outside of where it is. It actually goes up about 2 or 3 blocks above it as well. Now I actually have a Regeneration 3 effect, which is excellent because on occasion you will probably be hit with the Wither effect from fighting the Gaia Guardian. So what do we need to do next? Well, summon the Gaia Guardian and get ourselves ready. Let me empty out my inventory and we'll get going. Alright, well I won't be needing my water bucket, Lexica Botania, Wand of the Forest, but I will need a few other things, so let me grab all of this stuff here and we will proceed. So, what I have is a regular Mana Steel sword. You could use just an iron sword if you like, or better if you have the option for it. And what I highly recommend is Thorn Chakrams. Now you can get away with the Terra Steel blade, or the Terra Blade, as that will shoot projectiles that actually will injure the Gaia Guardian, as it's immune to all ranged attacks except for Chakrams and the Terra Blade, as far as I've revealed so far at least. I recommend you have yourself some really good food, because as you take damage you may need to continue eating, and you get yourself at least some iron armor or better. Now I am wearing Mana Steel, and essentially the only difference is it's less mana cost, and it will automatically be repaired with the regular mana tablet I have. I eliminated my creative mana tablet. Even though I'm in creative right now, I will go into a normal mode. And I also recommend that you have at least one vial of mending with health 2 on it, just in case for some reason you end up coming under a really heavy attack. Sometimes things won't go your way, and you'll just need that extra bit. But you don't have to have it. It's just a really good idea in case something goes awry. And of course you'll need another Terra Steel ingot. Now, the 6 Thorn Chakrams is what I recommend. I've been able to get away with 4, though it does slow things down considerably. And if you're going for less than 6, then you might as well just use the Terra Blade. But that's going to drag the battle out to be almost twice as long, because as I've found, the Thorn Chakrams will end up killing the Gaia Guardian the fastest. So, now that I've got my armor, my tablet, my weapons, and my health, all we need to remember is that when we fight him, we stand in this area so that we can gain the health benefits, and we end up just trying to aim our shots at the Gaia Guardian. I'm going to take this Terrasteel Ingot and drop down in here and feed it in. Now I have turned down the music on this. If you want to do so as well, it's not actually going to be under music. It's under jukebox and note blocks. Now you still may hear a faint sound from that. It's that loud actually normally, but that's entirely up to you. And I started that while I'm in creative by accident, but let me get out of creative here. There we go. And you can see I'm actually already hungry, so let me eat that. The Gaia Guardian will actually, if you're not too close to him, stand there and do nothing until you either attack or get too close. So I recommend the Thorn Chakrams. And you can see he teleports around and will actually start leaving these pink fields in the ground and damaging you. Well, all you need to do is just keep on hitting him with your Thorn Chakrams. Aim lower is probably the best idea, just because that way if you end up getting hit with any of these and it knocks you around, that you'll still be shooting at least at his head like that when he's knocking you about. And you can see with 6 of these I'm just keeping up with them returning as well as hitting him, and it's doing a decent amount of damage. Now he actually has a damage cap on him, so if you have some kind of OP mods installed that will actually do a lot of damage, like Draconic Evolution or something, it actually won't do as much, you know, as it normally would, because of the cap that is on the Gaia Guardian. Now if you notice, I don't have anything above ground except for the Giulia that I could actually run into. I really like to have a clear playing field when I fight this guy, just so that I don't end up having anything blocking the shots. Therefore I actually turned the Bellthorns into regular flowers as well, instead of having them being floating flowers like the Giulia is. So once I get him low enough, he actually should be relatively easy to kill. Now you can see my health's getting a little bit low, so I'm actually going to take a swig of the health potion, which I probably didn't need to do right there, because he actually did not hit me for a moment. But you can see that sometimes you just need that extra burst. Ooh, and I missed twice. Oh boy. And here he goes into his second phase, where he starts dropping enemies. And that's where the Bellthorns and your Giulia are going to make your life much easier. I recommend staying on defense with a sword, so that any ranged attacks from skeletons and whatnot will end up doing less damage and not knock you back as much as well. But it shouldn't be too bad. And it's highly recommended as well that you do this during the daytime. If you do this at night, you'll have difficulty in actually seeing the Gaia Guardian, because he is almost a shade of black once he is teleporting around. And once he's done sending out the last of his minions, you can then resume attacking him. There we go. And he actually should be shooting around a little bit faster now, and will drop out this purple stuff on the ground, which you'll want to try to avoid, but it's practically impossible. So you might as well just make sure that you have enough equipment on you, like food and potions, to ensure that you end up just being able to straight out survive it. I did find that adding strength to your weapons is really useless, because like I said, there's a damage cap. Even adding it to your the Terra Blade is not going to do much. Okay, now that he's gone and all those pink things are out of here, there we go. And we've got ourselves some Gaia Spirits, as well as all the drops from the enemies. And what you can do with the Gaia Spirits is actually create yourself the Gaia 2.0. Now as you could see, that was actually a relatively easy battle in comparison to what we're about to face. I was just simply equipped with some Mana Steel leggings, I'll just say Mana Steel armor, which is the equivalent of iron armor. It didn't really use that much of my mana tablet. Actually, let me grab my Wand of the Forest. It didn't use that much of the mana pool. You can see it barely used any out of that for the enemies that these guys killed. They actually don't. It doesn't use up that much energy. This actually, it was running a little bit low, but I think we'll still be alright with that. And that actually has the Fallen Khanate and the Giulia hooked up to it at the moment. And those are just ongoing effects. The Giulia barely uses any mana, and the Fallen Khanate doesn't use up that much that quickly. So, what we're going to do next is make ourselves a gateway to Gaia Guardian 2.0. And that is made with a Gaia Spirit Ingot. Now, the Gaia Guardian 2 is actually much more challenging. He hits a lot harder, he shoots out a lot more enemies towards the end, he moves a lot faster, but I've been able to do this actually with the exact same setup. The only difference is that sometimes the Thorn Chakrams might get caught with the way that I do this. I do change it up a little bit though, and that is you can actually grab a couple stacks of something like sand or stone, or in this case I could use glass, which is what I'm going to use. So I'm in creative at the moment, so this should be relatively easy to do, but I have, let's see, a bit of building to do. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, there we go. And now I have built myself a little shelter of sorts, just about the shape that I was showing you before. Whoops, let me go up a little higher. And the idea with this is that the Gaia Guardian 2 actually has the ability to shower you with bolts from above. So if you stay basically around here, you should be relatively safe from those bolts. Now, the drawback is he can actually get under here. And if I end up putting a whole bunch of stuff down on this ground, then it will actually give me an error message telling me that there are things in the way. So what you can do is actually kind of cheat it out a little bit, but not too much. Now I'm still going to be using glass, and if you remember, when you first start fighting the Gaia Guardian, he doesn't move unless you get too close. So we're going to take full advantage of that. And I'm actually going to grab another vial of mending because I found in this case it's best to have two. Alright, so as you can see here, I'm still just wearing the Mana Seer monocle, the regular Mana Steel items. You can actually wear, the preferred method is to wear the Elementium stuff so that you will be shooting pixies back at him at the same time, but I found that not as much challenge. I really enjoyed it this way. I don't know, I guess challenge is one way of putting it. I just felt this was a bit more creative. What I'm essentially going to do is start this off and run away and start placing blocks, which actually I forgot to get out of game mode 1 again, and stay away from him. Essentially I made this outline so that I could remember where to put this stuff, and he will just stand there unless I get too close or I hit him with something, which is very nice of him to allow me to set up like this. I think it was actually set up this way so that you could be creative in this manner. I could be wrong. I might be right. I don't know. Someone would have to ask Vasky, and Vasky would probably have to reply in order for us to find out. So, there we go. I essentially have myself trapped in here, and he will not be able to land on any of these edges because the ceiling is just as high. It is entirely possible he still can hit me from the outside edges of some of this stuff, but I think we'll be okay. So, let's start it off, and as you'll notice, it'll be a lot less damage than before. Plus, he may jump on top. And you can see he's shooting these rays from on top of his head. Of course, he does not suffer from status effects, so fire and poison he's immune to, but he does shoot that purple stuff out much more frequently. Here we we go. And now he's going to drop off a whole bunch of mobs on my head. Ooh, and this is the dangerous part. There's a lot of witches. Luckily, they're close enough that the Bellthorns will make quick work of them. It's probably now the easiest part of the battle is right now. And now he really speeds up in his attacks. He moves around much quicker. Which means you might not be able to keep up with shooting the chakrams at him quite as frequently. There we go. Often people will end up running after him, trying to catch him, and I found that it was just easier to stand still and make things more to your benefit. There we go, just in case, ended up using the potion. Got him. And then we wait for the last of the pink stuff to go away. Pick up all the loot on the ground. And we get all sorts of really cool stuff. Ooh. Here we go. 6 mana diamonds, 3 redstone, 5 sugar, 3 sticks, 12 arrows, 9 rotten flesh. I already had 4 Gaia spirits, so that gave me 16 more. A blacker lotus, and Will of Guthan, which you may get different wills, dice of fate, and so on, which we'll cover in a future episode. So as you can see, just using some regular Mana Steel armor, well, a monocle I guess, Thorn chakrams, Mana Steel sword, a bunch of glass just for demonstration purposes, and the flowers I showed you with some mana. I only used 1 vial of Mending Sip and a little bit of baked potato. I was able to take down the Gaia Guardian 2.0 with relative ease. Just took a little bit of time. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If so, please give me a like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time, see ya.